29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22. 21.
20.
19.
18.
17.
16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
8.
6.
6. What happened to 7?
7.
5. 4.
3.
2. 1.
0.
Well, we're here, and apparently no one wants to meet Eric Tuch because there's fucking literally 3 people here. How does that even happen? 3 people. Go. I don't care who's live right now. You need to go tell them that if they're not here, they're missing out because Eric is waiting. I can see him in the background back there. So we're going to get started on this. But so Eric has got a big giveaway that he's doing. I want to get that out front. I'm going to let him talk about it. But there is a huge giveaway, like $10,000 in prizes, basically, that he's doing as a giveaway. And you need to go to whoever's live feed and tell them, fuck that dude that they're talking with and hang out here. So let's, there's no one live on my YouTube subs page. Well, good for you. Maybe you just don't sub to the right people. I'm kidding. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna bring Eric in. I've got a bunch of questions for him. I've got a couple that I'm gonna throw at him, but I've been friends with Eric and his dad for a while now, like maybe 5 or 6 years. They make some of the best knives you're going to want to come across, and they're a lot of fun. So here's Eric. There's Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. Luscious locks you got. Like, is it nice to be able to grow hair still? Because on top of my head looks like a puppy's belly.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the hair. Yeah.
I bet the chicks when you go surfing dig it. Is that moonshine? Are you drinking moonshine?
Wish, man, that'd be cool. Not gonna lie, I'm a little hungover this morning.
I had a friend stop by my house and he was shit house. Like 10:30 at night, he stopped by like so drunk he couldn't even walk. And I'm like, give me your fucking keys. And I parked his car and hid his keys from him and made him take an Uber. And it's noon and I haven't heard from him yet. So that tells me that dude is not awake yet. And I guarantee when he does, he's not gonna feel well. So
yeah. That's like the guy at Blade Show a few years back with the Sunny D jug or the White Lightning, passing around, trying to give it back to me a second time. I'm saying, no, thanks, man. I'm good. And he's calling me a pussy, this and that. And not 5 minutes later, I look back and he's just slumped over on the sidewalk. Drool comes.
Who is it that's who is it that always they're basically their table is a bar?
Sounds like a few.
Yeah, there's a few, but like there's one in particular that pops into my head. I just can't think of. Oh, Dwayne Dwyer. Dwayne Dwyer's table is always like a bar. That's not a knife table. That's a bar where there's just some knives every time. So, so that I don't forget, because people will be upset, because we are 100%. We're gonna do all 2 hours on YouTube and Rumble as opposed to an hour here, an hour on Rumble. So we have to do this for my subscribers, because if I don't, they're going to get upset. So I don't forget. Here it is.
They call me Cuban Pete. I'm the king of a rumba beat. When I play the maracas, I go chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky, boom. Yes.
Got to do dancing cat. They literally get upset if I don't do that.
Oh man, that's a good trademark.
So I mean, you and I have been friends for a lot of time. A lot of people know about Tuch knives. You guys have made some of the most incredible custom knives. You guys' knives aren't really knives. They're more like a piece of art. But go ahead and tell everybody about you and your dad. I was kind of hoping your dad would stick his head in, but like I imagine he's busy making knives that you guys can afford.
I don't know what he's up to today. I'm actually at home. I just happen to have our banner on the wall. Just working.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. I'm Eric Tuch. I'm one half of the father-son knife-making duo Tuch Knives. I've been making knives, learning from my dad for the last 10 years. He's been doing it for 20, so 30 combined years total. do things when I first started was all about art knives, lockbacks, traditional taper pin lockbacks, just plain 416 handles, and a lot of time file work, files and sandpaper to flute up, getting different textures, and then my dad had started actually in the automatic world, learning from Butch Valdin, and so
Wrong button. Sorry.
so he had a well-rounded um, lineage of mentors from Butch Vallotton. Then Tim Herman took him under his wing and taught him how to do the art knives. And I was fortunate enough to be able to come in and learn all of the above.
I was
And
gonna say, you guys have got some of the most intricate, like not, I mean, like the knives that you guys have been making for years, they're just intricate and very, very well done. Like I've never seen one that wasn't like just immaculate. Like what was it? The sparrows, the hidden autos.
yeah,
Um,
actually, I have one of the originals right here.
oh, they're just, yeah, that's this. Yeah. Is that the carbon fiber and titanium pocket clip?
Yeah, this is my own, so I did a little custom anno job on it.
Hang on a
Little
second.
baby-
I'll give you
baby
full screen.
anno.
Yeah. Anodized liners. And yeah, you got like kind of the prismatic and then those things are cool. Nico, my little buddy Nico has one of those that he got from you guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to show you the how the mechanism actually moves, but my
I'm pretty sure that if they've seen my videos, I've had several different hidden. As a matter of fact, I have a Diskin auto, and the mechanism is really similar.
He's one of the very few other makers that actually make a dual action.
Yeah. Yeah, a nice dual action knife. This actually was Elijah Isham's, and he gave it to me. He sent it to me for sharpening, and it had been here for so long. And he's like, well, I'm gonna come out to San Diego and pick it up. And he missed the trip, and he was like, you know what, just keep it. And I was like, bro, I can't do it. And then like shortly after that, he was like, I'm still planning a trip out. But then shortly after that, he passed away. So this is something that's just never gonna go anywhere. It's just one of those things that like belonged to a really good friend. And I just,
Elijah. Rest in peace, Elijah.
Yeah. Oh, you know him. He was a great dude. Like he would do shit like that. Like I watched him give. I forget what knife he had in his pocket. We were at Blade Show West in Portland, the second time, and he came up and he and I were talking. And he was talking with some dude, and he had some really cool knife in his pocket, and he was like, the guy was like, "Oh man, I've always wanted." Elijah was this. Fuck, take it, man. I don't fucking need it. It's just a knife. The guy's like, bro, that's like a $500 knife. I was like, Elijah was like, whatever. Yeah. He's like, man, he's like, it's gonna make you happy to have it. It makes me happy to give it. There you go. And I was like, God damn. So yeah, Elijah was a great dude. So I do have a list of questions, and you already answered. I have a list of questions, and I didn't have it up and ready because it's not like I do this for a fucking living or anything. So I know that your dad has been making knives, like you said, for like 20 years, but did you get into knives before that? Or, I mean, were you into knives? Like were you and your dad into like, I know you're like the outdoor stuff. Were you guys kind of into knives and then it just kind of morphed into something else?
Yeah, well, I mean, my dad was actually a fishing guide when I'm from Northern California originally, in the Shasta County area, and he was a big fishing guide down there. So we spent a lot of time fishing, camping, and just doing outdoor stuff. I generally had a knife in my hand from very young. I actually have, well, my old timer here.
Don't get too far because that's one of the questions I've got down.
Getting ahead of myself, anyways. Yeah, so but that wasn't connected to how he got into knives. I also grew up doing martial arts, and my brother actually, before my dad even made knives, would make wooden swords and knives that we would use for practice and things like that. But no, my dad actually got into knives because he had his knife stolen out of his car, and my mom suggested for an anniversary present finding a nice new knife. And so he did his research and stumbled upon Vallotton Knife Company and called him up, expecting, it's a company he's calling, but it's Butch, direct line. And after talking for a couple hours, they realized they had a few mutual acquaintances and some things in common. My dad had history in the steel business, or our family originally, the 2 generations before him were in this steel supply industry.
Oh, nice.
And he also had a manufacturing, a fabrication shop, like a welding shop in Reading before we moved up to Portland. So he had some experience working with metal and whatnot. And so end of the phone call, he's talking about when's my knife going to be ready, and Butch says, when are you going to be down here to build it? Because he was just a couple hours south of us. So he ended up going and making a few knives down there, and went to the Eugene show and sold them all, and asked Butch what to do next. And he said, make yourself a shop, get out of mine.
Yeah, get the fuck out of my shop.
Get out of my shop.
Or pay rent. One of the two. So, I mean, I've talked to your dad a lot. I love your dad. He's one of the coolest dudes in the knife industry. And to tell you guys the truth, like, I've made a lot of friends in the knife world, but you and your dad are on a special list. Like we said, you guys were on a pretty short list of people at a knife show that got to go to my birthday. Remember, it was me and you and your dad, Aaron Frederick, and Nick Shabazz, like that, and my buddy Nico. That was it. Those are the only people I did invite one other person, but they just were unable to come because they were busy with business stuff. But that's the only people at an entire knife show. Those were the people I invited to spend my birthday with.
Wow.
So it's been really cool to get to meet certain people in knife industries and make a friendship like what we have. We might not talk as often as I would like, but we're all really busy. So it's been really cool to have made friends with you and your dad, and the fact that you guys do just make some of the sickest knives on the market.
Yeah, I always know that I can call you up anytime, and vice versa.
I stopped what I was doing. You called me, and I was like, "Hey, did you text me?" And then I called you, or
No, I just called you.
yeah, I was saying, you just called me, and I was like, "Oh, hey, it's Eric." Yeah, no problem. I stopped what I was doing. Like, there's very few people that I'll stop in the middle of a video for. I'll be like, I can call them back. But you called me. I was like, oh, I need to take that phone call. Let me look over here on Rumble. IA American says, got the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 G10 teal plain edge with compression lock and crucible. Oh, he got the same one I got. That's the one that's in my pocket, but I dyed mine. Fun fact: Japanese stationery stores sell the OLFA Tuch knives, but you guys beat them in the Google search rank. Japanese stationery stores sell.
Is it spelled Tuch?
Touch.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Tuch. Great. Psychedelic. Yeah, I think he got it mixed up. I think there might be another company out there like that. And then it says really cool father-son hoodie design. And then so Panzer's there.
Yeah, get in. Get that.
Yeah, and then Robin HTK says, "Hey everybody," said hi to you. So yeah, I remember the first time I met you guys at a show, and your dad was like, your dad and I had already talked at one point. Somehow we had already talked, and he was like, "Oh, I bet you can't figure out." And you guys handed me one of the Sparrows, and I was like, he's like, "It's a switchblade. You just got to figure out how to make it work." And I was like, "How the fuck?"
That's
and it took I literally had it for like 5 minutes. He's like, "Give me that." He showed me. I was like, "Oh, isn't that clever?"
Funny thing.
And right then I was like,
even when you show people, sometimes they still don't get it.
Yeah,
it takes them a while.
Yeah, they're like, it's exactly like figure out how to open it. I'm like, well, it's
like
with the thing with it being a dual action. That's what makes it really cool, because it's technically it's like a hidden switchblade that like most cops aren't going to be able to know. And so like the thing on Instagram, I was like, he makes some amazing knives, and some of them are illegal because a lot of places switchblades are illegal. Are you guys able to sell your knives in Portland?
Oh yeah. No, Oregon has some of the most lenient knife laws around. That's why we have so many knife companies up here. You can carry a samurai sword down the street as long as it's not concealed.
And that's what I was curious about, because like I do know that there was a lot of places that like that's why Microtech moved out of Vero Beach, was because they weren't allowed to make them because they were illegal in the state, and they had the rules with production. So they moved to Was it Bradford, Pennsylvania first, where Case Knives was, and then they moved to where they're at now, somewhere in the hills of middle of fucking nowhere. So
Yeah, that's true.
all right. So so 10 years ago, but when did you make your first knife solo? So I know you've been working with your dad for 10 years, but how long did it take from the time you started like basically learning until you could just like go in the shop and make a knife by yourself?
By myself, probably 2016 or so, 2017 is when I was like fully competent, you know?
Like like your dad trusted that you could just go in the shop and do every step of making a knife and he didn't have to look over your shoulder, even though I know he probably
Yeah, that was
does.
actually, let's see, 2017. That's when my dad took pretty much a 6-month sabbatical from the shop so he could design the new switchblade mechanism and kind of just put it all on my. And we had just moved into a new shop that was like, you know, higher overhead, and it's like, come on, man.
Is that the shop that I got to come visit me and Nico when we came to your shop that time?
Yeah,
So yeah, that's a pretty good
right.
shop. That's really an awesome layout. You've got a lot of space and it's all done
For the L shapes, it's a old warehouse space, and we got the whole top floor of it. And when we found it, it was all dilapidated, and there was a hole through the roof, through the floor, and fixed it all up and put it in a couple bedrooms, and in a shower, and that was our live work for a while until I had to get my own place.
So you had to get your own place. I'm not gonna lie. I do know like how much work goes. I like even just making custom fixed blades. There'd be times that I would just be at the shop between doing heat treat and working on several knives and trying to fit up heart handles and getting everything going, that you get done and you look at the clock and you're like, it's fucking 4 a.m. and there's no way I'm going to fucking drive home to be back here in the next morning. And so I'd literally crash. I'd crash in the shop, in Elliot's shop.
Before we had the live workspace, we just had a couch in the shop. And so that would happen pretty often.
I slept on the floor in the Farron Forge Knife Works office numerous times because I knew I was just too tired to go home. Like it wasn't safe for me to leave. I'm like, it's just better for me to sleep here for a couple hours and then drive home and take a shower.
Probably not safe for you to be making knives in that state.
Well, a lot of times it would get to a point where I'd just be doing like little things like anodizing hardware. It's like the little like when I would start getting tired and I knew I needed to get away from the grinder, that's when I would start like anodizing hardware and stuff like that. Just the little stuff like shortening the screws and barrels so that I could put them on the next day, stuff like that. Like, it definitely, you do reach a point where you're like, I probably shouldn't be like, you walk up to it, you're like, there's no fucking way I should use this grinder right now. Nope.
Yeah, I've been there.
And you will know this too. And a lot of people ask like, what's the most dangerous tool in the shop? I have my idea. What's your most dangerous tool in the shop?
Oh, it's the buffer. It's the soft wheel buffer. 100%.
The buffing wheel. It'll grab shit and send it at Mach 2 into your fucking leg.
Oh yeah.
You think like people are like, no, you can hold on to it really tight. I'm like, you cannot hold on to that tight enough for that 4 horsepower grinder to not yank that out of your hand.
Yeah, if it catches, like you're not holding on to it.
It catches a sharp spot or a little scooped out area in it, like we're fucking like a lock, like the spot for a stop pin or something. It catches one of them and it's gone. You may as well just like, nope.
Yeah.
You're doing hardware and you're like, well, I'm pretty sure that's gone forever. You don't know where it slung that shit.
Yeah, if you can't triangulate with the couple of taps, then grab the broom. But for them, just grab it.
I'll just go grab another one out of the box and start over. I started making little platens, aluminum platens, and I drill a hole and then I tap it with a 2 56, and that way I could screw it in. And that way it's not going to keep it from flying out of your hand, but at least it's a larger object to track than a fucking pivot screw or a body screw off of a knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So LP Knifeworks says, just bought a psychedelic Tuch t-shirt. I dig it.
Ooh, thanks.
So
man.
That's what I wanted to do. Now I wanted to wait till we had some people here. Tell us about this big giveaway that you're doing, because I it's not on my list of questions, but I know that that's part of the reason we wanted to do this. I posted it up on my Instagram. You're giving away what, $10,000 worth of prizes, basically.
Yeah, so it's this knife right here.
Let me give you full screen so everybody can see it better. Ah, man,
I
that
would
is
got mother of pearl, gold lip mother of pearl all throughout it, and the thumb studs, pivot, backspacer even. And everything's done 100% by hand. There's no pantograph, no CNC. It's just a very old school technique to do the inlay.
yeah. I was gonna say you guys do every step by hand. There is no
Like Norse Damascus blade.
yeah. That is beautiful. Is the thumb stud
Yeah,
got
I
mother of
managed.
pearl in it too? Or
Yeah.
is that gold?
No, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
mother of pearl.
fuck, you
That
guys.
was one of this is one of those knives where occasionally I just like to go for something. You know, I made this pattern just on a whim. I just wanted to have some fun with it and just like really, you know, let the creative juices flow. And so, but I came up with this idea for the giveaway a few years back, seeing people giving away cars and $50,000. You know, it's just massive, massive giveaways. Thinking, you know, and doing the same thing essentially is incentivizing people to buy merch in order to fund that and make a bit more, ideally. Um, and also based off of so many people that appreciate our work, but there's no way that they're, you know, gonna be financially, you know, in the position to purchase a knife, a handmade knife directly from me.
Yeah,
And
and that would be like retail price for that. If you were gonna put that on at a show, what would that be table price?
I would put it at like 5 grand, but I actually have more time than that in it just
I was gonna
because,
say,
yeah, like this isn't one that I would necessarily make very good money off of just based off how much time.
no one ever makes good money off a custom knife. That's the big misconception. Nobody
Right.
seems to know that. Like you sell a knife for $600, people are like, oh, it's too expensive. I was like, bro, I got like 100 hours in that. You know, easy. I got 100 hours in that.
Yeah, so we would, you know, people would come up to our tables at shows or whatever and say, "Man, this is beautiful." Like, and they'd, you know, really appreciate the work, but they're not going to be able to get one. And we
Yeah.
would say, you know, it's like a common line sometimes just would be, you know, "I wish I could just give it to you," and that's like a genuine statement, though. Like, I wish I could just give it to you. So this is where this kind of, um, you know, came up with this idea for the giveaway.
I would like to note that he has never said that to me.
Voice, man.
That's my evil. So like everyone would expect that this voice would be the one that is my evil inner monologue.
Because it sounds like this, right?
Right.
No, it's that squeaky voice. Like every evil thing that pops into my head, it pops into that voice now that I have the sound change. I have to do this real quick. So Daniel over at EDC Custom Knives says, hi, everyone. How's it going? Thanks for the 2 bones. And I don't have one of those. I don't have one of those live feed, like little tinkly bells.
That's cute.
I have I have Bubbles' mom's necklace. Oh, Bubbles. So no, thank you very much for 2 bones. And since somebody dropped a super chat, like I appreciate it. Super chats are available. I'm not asking you guys to do it. If you can afford to do it on channels that you support, it's an awesome thing. It lets creators know that you appreciate what they're doing. But I do have a channel sponsor, which is the coupon code Crazy Sharp down below. It's the coffee that I drink, and it's amazing. But back to the giveaway. So not only are you giving away the knife, you also have a monetary prize that you're giving away as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just was thinking I would follow suit of all these companies that are doing these massive giveaways and try to add a little bit of extra incentive to not just give away a knife, but to actually be able to change someone's life. You know, I've heard from people that have entered, you know, saying, "Man, I need a new roof and I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. This would be, you know, life changing for me." Like things like, and then there's people that have said, "Hey man, I don't need the money, but I'm going to jump in and hope that someone that does need it wins, you know, to support being able to actually do these things." So yeah, this idea kind of has grown over the last few years, and I finally got a website developed. I got different graphics commissioned, graphic designers to come up with graphics and get merchandise doing. I'm doing it all through a print on demand company. So like all the orders are just processed and automatically sent out. And
And
which
so for every how much what is the entry? So is it for every like every item you purchased?
every $1 is one entry.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
if you buy like a $30 shirt, that's 30 entries or a
30
$30 sweatshirt or something.
Right. Yeah.
Nice. And so you $5,000, a $5,000 knife. Are those two separate drawings or is that the knife and the money go together?
One grand prize.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're actually going to fly the winner to Portland so we can get, some footage of, receiving the prize and doing a big congratulations. And it's going to be the same time as the Pacific Northwest handmade invitational. So,
Wait, you're paying for their flight?
Yeah.
To come to and going to the show. And they get to hang out with you and your dad. Like that right there. Like shit. I literally grabbed my phone so that I could pull up the website. So as soon as we get done here, I can tell my wife, is like, look, I have to at least, I mean, I have to at least buy something, not just because I want to win, which I do, but I absolutely want to support that. And I do know that you put a lot of money of your own money into that to build it up. And so that's part of the reason we wanted to do this. It's a big deal. So it's tuchknives.com.
Tuchknives.com. Yeah. And
So
for a prize this big, I looked up the odds of winning $10,000 in the lottery, and the lowest or the highest odds that I found of that is 1 in like 649,000. The decimal is like 0.050154 relative to if we were to sell 1,000 products, which we haven't even done half that. Then it's like 650,000 times higher odds. Or it's 65,000 times higher odds. Yeah,
I don't maths.
Yeah,
I don't
my
do
math
maths.
just
Look
kind
at
of.
me. I'm like, man, I gotta
I'm a
take my
numbers
shoes
guy.
off.
I was a math guy in school, but I finished my math credits in like freshman year of high school doing algebra 2, and then I was like, I'm done doing math.
I was a shop guy in school. I was like, I don't give a fuck. And I, it's funny. Like I say I was a shop guy, but like I was talking with my friend Max from back home in high school, and he's like, it was like, it's kind of funny that I was so good at making knives, and I can't do it now because all the nerve damage in my shoulders and arm, my shoulder and arm and the carpal tunnel. And I was like, he's like, yeah, but you're pretty good at it. He goes like, it's just surprising. I was like, yeah, it's kind of surprising. I almost failed metal shop there once or twice. And he goes, well, that's because you were trying to make knives and ninja stars and shit like that we weren't supposed to make. And I was like, that is true. This is true. I was trying to make those things in shop class. And that's why I almost failed, because I didn't complete the case on for my copper cannon that I made. Because we had to cast this aluminum case on for these. We made cannons on the lathe, and then we had to cast the aluminum case on and make the wheels and put it all together and shit. And I almost did not finish my project because I was too busy trying to make ninja stars.
By the time I was in high school, man, they had like removed all the auto shop, like the technical trade classes were like the electives didn't exist anymore.
So we had 2 years. You had 1 year of metal shop, and then I think 1 year of metal shop, and so like half of the year was split between metal shop and then drafting. No, I'm sorry, wood shop 1. The first year of wood shop, you had to learn drafting because you're doing wooden stuff, and then I took 3 years of wood shop, but the first year of wood shop was it was 1 semester of actual in the shop, and the other one was in the drafting class where you had to learn how to do drafting and shit. So, but yeah. Oh, I got another super chat. Kurt Cromco recently picked up Coho from Eric, and really, yeah. I've never heard anyone say that your work was not incredible. So,
yeah, it's a cool one. I like that knife.
So I think you kind of answered it, because like, would you say that? Oh, I gotta ring some cowbell for him. That's loud, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that everybody at home is like, "You're fucking making my dog go ape shit." I think you probably answered this because I would imagine that giveaway knife would be what your knife would be. But if you could make a knife in any material, would that be what it was? Like, would that knife be like your dream knife? If you could make a knife out of any material, what would it be?
I mean, that at that moment in time, that's what my dream knife was. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. Is whenever I start one of these knives, it's like, what do I want to make in this moment? So I mean, that changes all the time.
I will tell you that I think, did I tell you this on the phone that I talked with Dan Sullivan? He had put up a post like, what would be the most perfect knife for me? And there were so many, like, if I could make a knife for you, what would be the most perfect knife? And a bunch of people were coming in and saying it, well, it's this model done this way. And I was like, Dan, I would tell you to pick the model that you think best represents you as a maker and make it in the fashion that you would want for your knife. And he was like, that is the most perfect knife. Because that's what you get. When you get the best, that's how you get the best possible result from a custom knife maker. Is when they make what they're passionate about. Like, so whatever struck your fancy that day, that would be probably the best possible outcome because you're making a knife that you would want, not a knife that somebody else is asking you to make.
Yeah, that's the best kind of customer. Like, yeah, here's my budget. Go for it. Make me a cool knife.
So I American over on Rumble asked, do you like mammoth molar?
Mammoth molar. Never used it, actually. I think I have in the drawer, but yeah, I've never used it.
I don't really like it.
I've used, like blue mammoth ivory, which is beautiful stuff. You got to be real careful to take material off the back so you don't take away the color. And
does it crack real easily? Is it pretty fragile? Like if you
no,
don't do it?
No, but I mean, if you hit a crack, like if you hit a vein that's not structurally sound, but like in the solid part, no, it's solid. But it does move because it's a natural material. It actually
expands and contracts. Yeah. That's why I hated working with composites. I thought I did, and I'm like, oh, I'll just get some wood and I'll do wood handles. And I did some even stabilized wood still does do. And I was like, I got done when I was like, I did 2, and I'm like, fuck it. I don't care how much I thought I hated composites. I'm not doing wood again. Like, fuck that. I hated it. I hated everything about it.
Yeah, I don't mind wood. Depends on the wood, I guess, but
I mean, that's something that you guys use a lot is like actual wood and stuff like that. You have for a long time, and I had never done it. So the differences from going from composite to wood was probably, if I had done wood first, it probably would have not been as big a deal.
Or probably
going from something that's constantly stable from no matter what time of day it is to the humidity, nothing about it changes when you're dealing with composites. And then to go to something that like, well, this fucking fit yesterday,
Yeah, I had one. I sent it to Hawaii, where the customer lived, and he sent it back, said, "Hey, the lock doesn't work. It's not locking up." But what? Yeah. There's no reason for that. And we take it apart, it comes back. I start fiddling with it. I'm looking this and that. And this is one of the first ones that I made completely on my own. And I didn't want my dad to even like look at it, but it turned out it was a great knife. But like, yeah, the lock wasn't working. And I tried a few different things. And like, I think I even like stretched the lock bar and like, refit the lock and everything. And then when you put the scale on, it would work. You would take it all apart and it would work without the scales on it, but then you put the scales on and I realized it was pulling it down. So I just ended up having to just like leave the screw a little unloosened, and it worked great.
Loctite it in place. So just don't take that screw off. Don't fuck with that screw. Elliot Williamson had a dude that he made a knife for, and the guy took it and he goes, man, this knife, it won't, like, it doesn't work right anymore. He's like, I don't know what fucking happened. And he sent it back to Elliot, and Elliot got it and it worked fine. And then the guy got it back again. He goes, no, it won't lock up. It's just got all this play and shit. It was 97 degrees in San Diego when Elliot made it, and the guy took it to Alaska.
Oh yeah, right.
So titanium has a very large coefficient of thermal expansion and contraction.
Oh, interesting.
And so the knife actually, the scales actually shrunk and the blade didn't. And so you had this really big amount of play. And so Elliot was like, okay, well, we've got to try and keep. So when they would build up knives, like when they were doing a run of knives and they were doing lockup and fit up, that was the only time that I know that they always ran the air conditioner. They kept it at a fairly constant temperature. So it wasn't real hot and it wasn't real cold. And so if they were doing fit up, they would try to maintain an average temperature, like at around 70 to 73 degrees. So that it was, so you weren't having that really big change in, you know, I ground this, it was 97 degrees. Now it's fucking 48 degrees. And that lock bar is significantly smaller. So, somebody here, Flip Flap, said vintage Bakelite scales repurposed from World War II military field telephone box is easily the coolest idea ever. That actually sounds really cool because that Bakelite gets that.
That's what this knife is.
What?
That's what he's talking about. That's what I used for this knife.
Oh, that's the material that's not the. I thought it was wood.
Yeah, it's Bakelite.
I wasn't listening carefully. Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if we got that far. Yeah, and there's like really cool oxidation on it, so it's kind of like a vintage Westie where you shake.
That's what I was getting ready to say because Bakelite patinas like Westinghouse, micarta does. I do know that. I just didn't hear you say that was
on the outside, and it turned out really cool. And with the gold lip, is awesome combo.
Now, is that just a is that just a single? It's not an auto at all. It's just a manual.
Yep. It's broken. There's no spring in it. But there is actually a prototype for this as an auto on the bench right now. I think we're going to get finished up for the next show.
So do you guys have problems selling your autos some places? I mean, I know that like a lot of places have changed those laws, and thanks to Doug Ritter for a lot of that. But do you guys still have problems with like shipping your stuff to shows and stuff like that?
Oh, we don't. We just put our knives in our bags.
I carried $20,000 worth of knives to Portland in my suitcase. I just did it as checked luggage and put a lock on it.
Oh yeah,
my knife case. Yeah,
we just like put it along the line. I'm telling you guys all my tricks. Don't look for my knives.
Yeah,
but yeah, we just put it along like the edges where like there's the metal. And so the X-ray doesn't pick it up, ideally, I guess. Well,
I've just always done it in my checked luggage. I mean, I've brought firearms from Ohio to San Diego. It's easy as long as you declare your shit and fucking.
Yeah, isn't that how you like? If you declare the firearm, then you can lock your bag anyways. And so Like,
yeah. Well, you just but you got to put it in it. So what you do is you can either check the case by itself as an additional piece of luggage, or you put the case in your suitcase locked, and you put a sticker on top of it, says firearm enclosed, no ammunition, and they keep it locked, and they don't even want the key. They won't even ask you to unlock it. It's like persona non grata. They won't even touch it. And then those bags are marked as well. So I brought my shotgun and several of my handguns from Ohio that way. And it's absolutely the easiest way to do it. Like if you're going anyway, it's way easier than trying to find an FFL and shit like that. So Bubble says there are industry standards on QC departments, conditions like humidity and temperature. It's QC for QC, QCception. What's the weirdest thing you've had happen while making a knife? I sent you this list, so you should have had something in mind that you knew that I was going to ask.
You know what's funny is when I read that earlier, nothing came to mind, but I just thought of something.
You just did?
Yeah, it just came to me. Ghost. Had a ghost come in. My dad's had this issue too, where working late at night, all of a sudden, I don't know. There's something about this building, man. Like I haven't seen a ghost. I've felt the presence of
your building. I have to admit, like you walk in and it just feels old when you walk in that building.
Yeah, when we were doing like split shifts, working the day during the old shop and then coming to the new shop to work at night, hanging drywall and stuff. There was times I was grabbing a hammer and walking through the whole building, and like something, something made a noise, something spooked me.
The wife and I, the first house that we lived in when she and I got married, I told her when she moved in, I was like, this house, and I never really believed in ghosts until we moved in this house. This is in Japan. Me and my roommate had this big three bedroom, actually 4-bedroom house that was just the two of us. He had the entire downstairs. I had the entire upstairs. There was a bathroom downstairs, a bathroom upstairs. The shower was downstairs. The kitchen was downstairs. But he took 2 bedrooms and combined them into one. And I took 2 bedrooms and combined them into one. It was huge. We had the biggest, it was nice. We had parties and shit there. But we started noticing weird shit would happen in a house. And like my keys would come up missing and shit like that. And so when he lived downstairs, I was already on shore duty. He was still on the ship, and he was. I called him when I got off work. I was like, hey, when he got off work, he called me. He's like, hey, I'm going to the house. I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna get changed because we were gonna go hang out in another town where we knew some chicks, and we were gonna go party with them. And I was like, cool. I'll come home. That way, I have time to get a shower, and we're not like trying to step all over each other, trying to share time in the house, trying to use the shower. And I came up, and he's sitting outside the house, like where our barbecue pit was. He's smoking a cigarette. I was like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm not going in there by myself. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, so I came home. You still had to work for a couple hours. He's like, so I took a shower and I laid down on my bed. I was going to take a nap. He's like, I hear my sliding door open because Japanese houses have those the sliding doors to separate rooms. So he's like, I hear my sliding door open. And he's like, I hear footsteps coming across the tatami mats, the bamboo mats that they use for flooring.
Right.
And he goes, stop next to my bed and then walk over to where I keep my clothes hanging up. And he said, I could hear clothes moving. Like, fucking Mike is seriously going through my clothes that I've got set out to go up to Fukuoka. And he's like, and then footsteps come back. And he goes, stop next to my bed. He's like, I reached out and I was going to grab your leg. Like you thought I was asleep and I was going to scare the fuck out of you. He goes, swung around. Not a fucking soul. He's like, I look up, clothes are still swinging. He's like, I've been out here since. He had a 6-pack of beer and a pack of cigarettes. He goes, I'm not going back in there by myself. I was like, are you fucking serious? And that was like the first big one. And then we started noticing, like we'd be sitting, and we just didn't even think anything about it.
Yeah.
And we'd be sitting and watching the TV, like a movie in his room downstairs because he had a bigger TV. And so we'd be sitting, and the refrigerator was closer. So that's where I'd get beer. And we'd be sitting there, you can hear sliding doors and shit open and close upstairs. And people that were with us were like, who's upstairs? And they're like, the ghost. And they're like, bullshit. I'm like, yeah. They're like, it's not the wind. I was like, you think it was the wind? I was like, the wind does not open and close sliding doors, you dipshit. And so when my wife moved in, it got really bad because when I would bring girls over, that's when it would get weird. And we thought that it was like maybe there was a ghost of a chick. And when we would have girls over, that's when there would be weird shit. I woke up one morning after my wife had moved in, and I was calling my chief. I was like, I'm going to be late for work. And he goes, why? I was like, I cannot find my fucking keys again. I was like, I put them in the same place every day. And now I can't find my keys. And my wife and I looked all over the house. And so I went to the bathroom and I flushed the toilet and I heard something weird and the toilet wouldn't stop flushing. My keys were in the tank of the toilet. And I was like, she fucking wanted to get a priest and shit, but nothing really bad ever happened. It kind of just tapered off after that. But yeah, she was like, no, she'll tell everybody, no, there was a ghost in that house. There was definite weird shit that happened all the time.
Yeah, my dad had a bandsaw turn on him one night real late. We're getting ready for a show. And that freaked him out because there's like...
It turned on?
Yeah, there's no way that switch moves. You know what I mean? Like it's not a hair trigger.
Elliot said that he thought there was a ghost in their old shop. I would be there like crazy late hours on my own. I had a key to their shop that they were letting me use their shop like all hours of the day, 7 days a week. And Elliot was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a ghost in the shop. I was like, why? He was like, I was in the office and all of a sudden I hear the ventilation kick on in the dirty room. He said, I went back and the grinder and the ventilation were on. And I was like, did you like leave them on a breaker trip or something? He's like, no. He's like, the lights weren't even on. He's like, I sure as fuck didn't leave that shit on. And I was like, there's weirdness there's just weirdness that happens in knife shops.
Weirdness.
Future plans for more production knives. I know you guys did the click.
Yeah, we did the click. I should have had. I mean, we actually don't have any left. Those are all sold. But yeah, there's a clack in the works, which is the
click and
next size
clack.
up. Yeah, so those are actually just conveniently shortened versions of river names that we've kayaked. So the click is
Yeah.
the tat. The clack is gonna be is the clackamus. And
When you say
yeah,
click and clack, I think of the radio show with the two brothers that did the
it
car stuff.
sounds
That's
great.
all I could think of.
Yeah, so that's in the works. We got the prototype for the next size up, the clack at Blade Show, so that's in the process. I'm not sure timeline wise for that though. We also had someone express some interest in a manual version of our Umpqua knife that is usually a dual action. And
The Umpqua's the big the large one, the really big one, right?
I guess it's the largest. It's not massive, but it's
Well,
yeah.
I mean, but it's the largest one you guys
size
make.
knife.
The,
Yeah,
the largest double action that you guys do.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like a small Sparrowhawk. You know. This is more like the size of the the mirroring of the screen.
It's once you get used to it, like I don't even think about it anymore. Like I do it so often, and I know exactly where I want to put stuff just to get it. Like
right to the. Got it. All right. I'll practice that.
So it's because it's not mirrored, because you can see like it's not mirrored so that it's not backwards. That way things don't look weird.
Gotcha.
IA American over on Rumble asks, is the Pacific Northwest custom invitational open to the public? Because the Facebook group is private.
It's not. You got to buy tickets in advance, type of thing. So I'm not sure how that works. Actually, I think you got to add yourself to the group and then like answer a couple questions or something, and then talk to Billy about it.
USN's kind of like that. USN's kind of weird. USN is kind of like it's like kind of a closed group, but not. Like there's a way to like you can buy tickets, but they're really limited in quantity.
Right.
So you got to if you guys get some of those, if you don't mind sending one of them along for review. I'm not saying for keeps, just so that I can get one for review. I'll definitely do a video about it.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about doing one manual version of that as a production knife, because it's a sweet design. It's very useful and doesn't have to have a spring in it.
No, it doesn't. Like I mean, I dig the autos, but I very rarely carry even like a hidden auto. I don't, because a lot of times it's just they're way too nice, and they're kind of finicky, like really easy to get like problems with dirt and stuff preventing the way you want them to work. So a lot of times, like especially that Diskin, like that's a super fancy knife, and I don't want to screw with it. It never goes in my pocket.
Yeah. That's a complicated build too. He was over one night. Him and my dad and I are all good friends. He brought us. It was one of those like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours type of thing. So his is like much more complicated than ours.
The mechanism, I had an issue with this, and I had to take it apart, and I was like on the phone with Matt, like talking to him, like him walking me. It was like something you see in a movie, like somebody walking someone through surgery and shit. Like he was like, okay, don't let this spring don't let this get out of the way. Don't let that. It's going to go and you'll never find it. And I was like,
yeah,
okay. And so I got it fixed and everything. And that's why it stays in a case, because I just don't want to have to deal with that again. I had to fix one of your clicks too.
Yeah.
Nico had one of the prototypes, and the set screw allowed something to slip, and I had to take his apart and fix. Your dad walked me through that too. I was like, okay, what do I need to do?
It was one of those things where generally we have the set screw goes into like a dimple into the spring, so it actually holds onto it. And that was one of the things that
it slid.
They didn't do. So yeah, once in a while they'll give you a little bit of an issue there, but we're always happy.
Well, and I told you, I think I texted you, and your dad told me what to do, and I texted you as well. And I was like trying to show you like how big my hands are trying to manipulate that tiny little mechanism. I was like, that was not the way I wanted.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. He's like, we have it. I think you and your dad were like, yeah, we have a jig for that. And I was like, I don't.
like that. Yeah.
So, IA American over on Rumble asks if your knives are ambidextrous.
Like the scale releases, you mean? Like, or the
Just in general, are your knives ambidextrous? I already know the answer.
how to use. I mean, I could open this with left hand. Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, for the single action. With a dual action, it's a little. But for the actual switchblade action,
dual action left hand. Like, it's just a matter of.
Yeah, it's just where you put your fingers.
Yeah.
So IA American, the whole thing is the whole scale moves. It's not like there's just it's not like a lot of them where it's like a bolster or a specific spot. Like you can
tail also.
Yeah, you can do it reverse and stuff like that. It's not hard to do them left-handed. Yeah. What's your favorite model of the ones you make? What's your favorite of the models that you guys do? What's your favorite?
Currently the Coho. That's what I've been making most right now. The model that I'm doing the giveaway of. That was based off the Coho Salmon. It's got kind of a beak to the blade. And actually I started designing the next model that I'm gonna do in my fish series is the steelhead. And so that's more of a drop point, more traditional, not traditional, but like less what would you call it? Less
sheep's footy.
Yeah. So the Coho has more of a beak, like that of a Coho salmon. So that I'm excited about getting that one completed. I'm actually going to put it in the computer this time, which is different than I usually will just pick up a piece of metal and grind a shape to it that I like for the handle and just find the right lines. And then the blade generally is just what fits nicely in that handle.
Everyone asked like that. You remember my my stonefish fixed blade that I made, the combat tactical camp, like multi-utility, I call it combat utility. Everybody's like, oh, that's so comfortable. I was like, that's because I made a handle. And then I was like, well, now we got to put a blade on this. The ergos are absolutely important when it comes to a knife. So I've noticed that all of you guys' knives are like super comfortable. I got cords wrapped up all over the place. Headphone cord and my phone charger cord. And I'm just like sitting here. I'm like, I feel like I've just been tied up with tape. Favorite model you made? What's your favorite knife steel to work with? And knife steel in general. So I do know that my favorite steel I've worked with, and it's not my favorite steel to work with. It's my favorite steel to have someone else have made and given me a knife in, but it's absolutely not my favorite steel to work with.
What is that for you?
For me, my favorite steel to work with was 440.
Right.
Because it's just easy. It's easy to heat treat. It's easy to grind. It doesn't require, the abrasives last so much longer. But my favorite steel overall is S90 or S125V, which are very, very difficult to grind. Like they're a pain in the fucking dick hole. Like you will eat up. You will spend as much money in belts on one of those knives as you do for 3 other knives in other steels. It's just ridiculous how wear resistant, how much they eat up the abrasives.
Yeah, we don't use 440 much these days, but that was like our main steel of choice for the lockbacks that we did with the carvings on the blades and things like that. Let's see, favorite steel. I haven't actually worked with it much, but I really like our WL34.
That
I think that's what I'm gonna do for my next orders is get some of that because it's just super. It finishes comparable to 440C. It's super
well,
fine.
and it takes a super clean edge, a super clean, fine finished edge, and it polishes really easy. A lot of people give it a bunch of shit, but Todd Begg talks about it all the time. How good RWL34 is. It's super clean. You don't get any inconsistencies.
Yeah, exactly. I've been using a lot of Damacor lately, which is sometimes kind of a pain in the ass, but it is really cool material. It's super even for a Sanmai, and a lot of people have been asking for that. I just worked with some Mike Norris Damascus. That's what the giveaway knife is.
What's the materials on that one? What are the two differential steels on that?
On the giveaway knife?
Yeah, for that Damascus. What is that? What's the two different steels that are in it?
I
Remember?
think it's 1095, and I'm not sure actually. Yeah, not 100% sure. Um, yeah, yeah, that stuff is really cool. I just got a bar of high carbon Damascus from Vegas Forge at Blade Show. That I haven't worked with some high carbon in a while, but I really love the stuff because I can turn it blue,
Yeah.
and that's
I
always
love those guys. And yeah, I was gonna say you can nitro blue it, so you can
yeah.
do the bluing like what you see on like more like what you see on firearms.
Mhm.
That case, almost that case hardened look. It does look cool.
Yeah, so I got a coho in the works that I'm gonna get finished for the show coming up with the high carbon Damascus and do something really cool. Maybe probably do some inlay like on the giveaway knife and maybe do it hidden hardware this time. Um, yeah, see what I come up with in the next couple weeks.
I like hidden hardware if it's done well. If
Hmm.
it's done well, it's nice. If it's not, it always looks kind of inconsistent, weird. You know what I mean? Like you get gaps and stuff, and you kind of see where they were trying to go. But
Yeah, we mostly did hidden hardware for a while. Actually, the
yeah,
mechanism that my dad came up with was based off a challenge from a collector to or he turned it into a challenge anyways to come up with a scale release mechanism that would work as hidden hardware with front and rear bolsters also. Um,
nice.
and somehow that sparked a light bulb on how to simplify and re-engineer the mechanism. Um, like to the point that we even have a patent on it.
I was gonna
And
say, yeah, you guys' mechanism is patented.
yeah, but
I
we
do know
actually
that.
we've like the amount of extra time that it takes like to do a hidden hardware knife, especially a dual action hidden hardware. It's just ridiculous. And a lot of it is just the times when you have to put it together and take it apart over and
Yeah.
over. You got to do
Well,
that.
the return on what you got to look at what the return on investment is like that
Yeah,
amount of work into it. Are you going to be able to sell it for what it's actually
exactly. Yeah.
costing you to make? Probably not.
So really, we
And if
haven't.
you can, how long is it going to take? Because then you got to figure like, I've invested this much time. I haven't done anything else that's making money. And now how long is it going to take me to sell this?
Yeah, and now I got bills to pay, so let's sell it for less because we gotta
Yeah.
fucking.
I told you I had a couple questions that I didn't put on the list that I forgot, and this was one of them. Do you think that so Nick Shabazz mentioned this, like excellence being the lowest bar on knives now. So production knives at this point have gotten so much better,
Mhm.
and the knives that are coming out that are hitting the market that are just on par. Like there are a lot, not for specific knives like you guys and guys like Matt Diskin, where you guys are doing specific specialty stuff. But do you think that that is going to push custom knife makers to get better? And do you think that some of this hate that we keep seeing, like you always see the like all the hate for like don't buy Chinese, but they're that's the one product that they won't buy. Like everything else, like the phones, the computers, and everything else, they're not saying a word about, but they're saying that about knife specific. Do you think that's just because they don't want to have to get better? Like they're just kind of wanting to be lazy and produce what they're producing at the level and not have the
No,
competition?
no, that's a matter of making a living because the people that actually don't, they're not doing this as a hobby. They're doing it to support themselves and their families. That's just a way that you can actually make some money. That's what we're finally realizing with these clicks to be able to buy and sell something and make a profit off of it that we don't really have, our skin involved.
Yeah.
That was definitely a game changer. It was really cool. The 2 years, yeah, it was the year before last at Blade Show. We had the first 100 of those clicks, and they sold out. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, they were gone. Like Nico told me, they were gone quick. Like he almost was unable to get one
yeah,
because they went so quick. But yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of guys that just want to throw a fit and say, oh, well, just don't buy this because it was made here, and then they vilify the companies, like some of the American companies that are having their stuff made, but then specific designers they're not saying a word about. Like there's a lot of designers
right,
that have runs of knives made over offshore
yeah.
and then are selling them, so that like Elliot Williamson, like
We've
he
never made a knife in their life. You know, they don't know what it takes, but they can make a drawing and send it to a company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
but like Elliot Williamson for a while, he was doing both. He was making stuff in shop, and the whole thing that they were talking about was like it's gotten to where it's so hard. Like basically, they weren't making any money. They were making enough money to do the next run, and so they started doing production stuff to be able to offset. And that's what Brian Nadeau does now. Like
mhm.
he still does some custom stuff, like his Archbishop, Arch Nemesis daggers.
Yeah.
He makes those by hand. He still spends a lot of time doing those, but then he has his production knives that allow him to offset and still be able to do stuff, but have some income coming in.
Mhm.
Go figure. Bob Lovelace and Pelly Brain come up with what is the best steel ever. Yeah, Bob Lovelace. Yeah, RWL 34. Robert W. Lovelace. Yeah, I mean, Bob knew what he was doing. Oh, this was the one. What's your least favorite thing about making knives? About making knives, what's your least favorite thing? Everybody has that one thing that they fucking hate.
Oh, let's see. Mm, 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 mm. I don't know. I feel like in a past life, I might have a lot to say, but I've been enjoying. I think probably just like having to refinish something like say you like heat color a backspace, you know, a pocket clip or something, Damascus or whatever, and then you notice like there's a little spot, you know, there's just like something that just isn't going to sit well, and then you got to resand and do all that time to repolish and do that. That's it. Nailed it. Got it.
Yeah.
That's
Mine.
the one. That's and then when you have to do it like more than once or twice, that's yeah, that'll get you going a little bit.
Mine was always heat. I hated doing heat treat
Mm,
because I mean, it's a day that like you can't have any big tasks going on because you got to watch the oven because the oven's unpredictable. One day it'll go from 70 degrees to 800 degrees and then sit there for an hour before it jumps up the way you want it to. And some days it just ramps up really fast. So you can't,
what kind of
can't
kiln do you got, man?
say what?
What kind of kiln do you have?
It was an even heat, but Elliot's was old. Elliot had two of them, and one of them, it just depended on how it felt that day. Like it would get up to a certain temperature and then it would slow down. And then some days it would ramp right up. And it's hard to definitely, it was hard to do anything that you were going to be distracted by. Now, once you got it out and you were doing the temper, that's easy because it was on a timed cycle,
Right.
but like getting up to 2200 degrees. And once it hits 2200, you got to pull it out because you can't leave it in that oven for more than just a couple minutes at that
What
temperature.
material are you heat treating at 2200?
20 CV. 20 CV and S125V. You take them up to 2200 and then plate quench it, and then 2 cycles of 1000 degrees for 2 hours each. So you put it in the temper oven you would have set. You'd set it for 1000 degrees. You put it in cold and then ramp it up to 1000.
Yeah, yeah.
Pull it out, let it reach room temperature, then put it back in for another 2 hours at 1000. And you do a normalizing cycle and a temper cycle at 1000 degrees. 20, yeah, that's how you get 20 CV at 66, 60, 65, 66.
That's too hard, man.
Rockwell.
That's too
Yeah,
hard.
but my custom knives that I did in 20 CV, like I've got one guy that I made a knife for him in S125V, and he uses it daily, and I made it for him 2 years ago, and I've only had to sharpen it once. It literally is the second hardest substance on the face of the earth.
It's usually a different, you know, you get that balance of toughness and hardness. And, you know, if it gets that hard, it's going to be a pain in the ass to sharpen. And two, it's like it's more brittle. It's more likely to chip or.
Elliot came up with that heat treat, and he had tested a bunch of stuff on 20 CV and S125V, pretty much the same. I think if I remember, S125V was 2 cycles at 800, and that was coming out like the knives that I made for my buddy Tino. You can score glass with them, but you can still, when you roll the edge, like if you get a brass rod, you can roll the edge across and you can watch the edge flex. Because Elliot came up with these like specific heat treats for those steels that he had used, and they were amazing. So you get like he got the maximum out of that. So like 65 64 to 66 Rockwell on 20 CV, and the edge holds up really well. It's not chippy. You do lose a good bit of the corrosion resistance of 20 CV at that point, though, because now all that chromium oxide that normally would be at the surface, preventing the rust because of the stand. Now you've consolidated that into making carbides, chromium carbides. So, yeah, it's that's why I like 20 CV, because you could get so much out of it. There's better steels out there. Like I love S90V. I think that's my favorite steel of all time. I didn't like making handles. Like not because I didn't like, I was just really picky on how I wanted the handles to feel. And I wanted them to be exact from side to side. And I was making them by hand. I wasn't using a jig, and I was doing them on a grinder and a Scotch-Brite. And so it's just because I'm me, and I was really, really picky about how I was doing it. But I have a buddy that I've made 3 knives for, and he wanted thunder. It was lightning strike Kevlar on all 3 knives, and it was just miserable. I've got pictures on my. He's got pictures on that I sent him of me making the knife for him, and you can see the wires just sticking out of my hand because grinding it just sling the wires into your hand. And the Kevlar is not real tightly. Yeah, the Kevlar is not real tightly bound, so it turns into like just it's like grinding. It's like somebody took fucking fiberglass insulation and compressed it down really tight and wet it and then stuck wires in it, and then so it just comes apart so easy. So you gotta be real careful how you grind it, and it's all over everything, and it just itches. And then it doesn't have a real good color, so you have to flame color it, and then you got to coat it, like you got to resin coat it somehow. Either you got to stabilize it with like what is it, the cactus juice, or you send it. I'd send them to Nico, and Nico would just clear coat them with auto body clear coat, and it would soak in, and he'd do several coats, and it held it better, and it really didn't make it shiny. It just kind of gave you that really cool. I hated making handles. I hated it. Let me get back. Let me see here. What's the next one? And guys, if you haven't,
with material like that, that's understandable.
I fucking hated it. But at the end of the day, like you're making those handles, you gotta fucking get a pair of tweezers and pull fucking copper wire out of your hand because it's just driven that shit. Like the grinder would just sling it into your hands. You're like, fuck, I hate this.
Tell that guy to choose an alternative material.
He paid me a lot to deal with that. The wife and child, the wife and child and dog have returned.
What's up, wife and child and dog?
First knife you ever had? What was the first knife you ever had?
That was my knife. I didn't plan this. I had this on my dresser. You know, it just lives with me. It's my old timer lockback.
That's why I told you, like, don't ruin it. I knew when you pulled that up, I knew where that was coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, my brain's jumped right to it.
This
is a solid knife, man. It got me. It's whittled a lot of sticks, I'll tell you that.
I've got the first knife I was ever given. I've had it since I was 5 or 6. I'm 49 this next month. So I've had that knife. I've had that knife for like 43 years.
Yeah, I think I was 9, 10, just about to turn 1 maybe when I got this one.
Mock Clown says I have a goatee now. No, I don't. It's just the way it's lit. About this time of year when it starts getting hot, I trim the full like nipple length beard off. I'm like, I just can't do it. It's too fucking hot out here. It's 85 degrees out here right now because I've got the lights on. It's only like 74 degrees outside, but when you get all these lights on in the studio, it starts getting warm out here. So that was your first knife. Why does this keep closing on me? Knife you wish you had, but got rid of. What a knife you got rid of, but wish you still had.
I feel like there was a knife that I used to carry every day for like 6 years, and I dropped it in a lake one day. I wish I could have that one still. I think it was a Gerber of some kind with an assisted opening there. So I don't remember the specific model, but I really like that knife.
I had one that my dad got me for Christmas, and it was a Simmons, like the binocular company, but they also made knives, and it was an old urn, lock back folder that my dad had gotten me for Christmas, and it fell. It's same thing. We were fishing at the river, and somehow it fell out of the little pouch. And we went back and looked everywhere for it where I had been fishing and could not find it anywhere. And I guarantee it either went in the river or somebody came along and found it before I realized that it had fallen out of my pocket. Because we were like partway down the road when I realized I didn't have it. We drove back. Like we were partway home and went back looking for it. And there were other people at the lake, at the river. So I imagine that that's where it went. So I have a question that I ask everyone. I call it my Franken-knife question. Now you don't have to, the Franken-knife question is you don't have to figure a way to shoehorn all the parts together and make it work. Like you don't have to worry of like, this is just simply any blade off of any knife, any blade shape off of any knife in any steel with any lock mechanism, with any handle. And like, what would be your combination of those items that would make your Franken-knife that you would like to have?
Franken-knife I'd like to have. How about a Gil Hibbons Rambo knife blade and a katana handle, and throw in a scale release on that bad boy. Make it a dual action.
Like, what the fuck is that? Would be cool. I would love one of the old original. I would love one of the old original First Blood, the original Rambo knives.
Yeah.
Did you see? I don't know if you saw it. I did a video here not too long ago. I have got. Hang on a second. I'll show you what I've got. I came across it at a military exchange the other day. Oh shit! I'm caught up on my lights. I didn't take my headphones off, and I got my headphone cord wrapped around my fucking studio light as I was walking around. I came across the old original.
Oh, nice. Revival knife.
Yeah, I'm doing this as a giveaway. This is gonna be a giveaway to one of my paying members or to one of my subscribers, and they're all like, "What the fuck? When is that going up?" So I know when to avoid that. An authentic Crocodile Dundee knife. That would be cool. Those things are expensive.
Oh, ooh, yeah.
The original Crocodile Dundee knife.
Out the Gil Hibbons blade and throwing that Rocky blade, or that's not a knife. That's a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big river buoy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy that does make those. Like he makes, there's a guy that makes those, and they're significantly less than the authentic ones, than the company that actually made them for the movie. They're significantly cheaper, but the fact is the guy does it like part-time. Like he does it like 1 day a week. And so he does it for like 4 hours a week. And if you try to get one, like I talked to him and he was like, yeah, it's only like $600, but he's like, it's going to take me a good 2 years to get it done. I was like, why? He's like, because there's a bunch of people that want them. And he's like, I make them in my garage. Like I do like 4 hours on Saturday when my wife and kid are doing something. He's like, I'll take 4 hours on a Saturday and work on it. And then I spend the rest of the weekend with him. He goes, but the rest of the time I don't make knives. Like he's like a mechanic. He works on cars. Yeah, he's got a job. He's just like, I just do them every once in a while. And I'm like, they look really, he's very good at it. But it literally, he's like, it'd take like 2-3 years before you could get one. I'm like, God damn. What's your weirdest knife show moment? What's the weirdest thing you've seen at a knife show? Okay, besides Lynn Thompson fucking fencing at Blade Show West in Portland. You remember that when he was over near Medford's table and they were fucking fencing?
I don't remember that one.
What the fuck is he doing?
Weirdest knife show moment? What have I seen? Man, I don't know. Fucking, I might need a moment to stew on that one.
That's okay, because I'm bringing up your website so that so that I can show everywhere your Grail knife giveaway website here.
Cool. Yeah, everyone.
So while he stews on that, we're going to present this. So why are there only 11 people here? Like that, I hate YouTube. They're not sending out notifications. That's absolutely what's going on. YouTube does not send out notifications. So you got 3 days, 1 hour, and 44 minutes
10
for this
hours.
Grail knife giveaway. And
July 18th. That's when it ends.
yeah, so so that you guys know, here's the deal. It's like $10,000 worth of prizes. Basically, a grand prize of a $5,000 handmade custom knife and a $5,000 cash prize, plus a flight to Portland for the, what was it? The Pacific Northwest
Invitational. Custom
Invitational.
Yeah.
You get all of that. And all you have to do is go, and for every dollar that you spend on merchandise on that website is an entry. So if you buy a $30, if you buy $30 of merchandise, that's 30 entries.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the merch either, I actually just added an option like a traditional raffle. You can buy spots in $10 increments.
Yeah.
Which for some reason people are opting to do, even like spending, $60 on it. And
yeah,
like you could have got a sweatshirt. Why? But cool. It's better.
I will probably go and buy a t-shirt, not just because I want to enter, but because I want to support it, because it's a really cool thing, but also because, well, I like weird shirts. I got a bunch of weird shirts that I try to wear in life. It's the problem with a lot of the really cool t-shirts is that the logo that you want to see is on the back. I got a lot of really cool shirts, but the part that I want to show off in a live feed is on the back. So yeah, that's the website. And if, let me see how many people are over here on Rumble. So over on Rumble, there's only 4 people watching. So I don't know. Apparently no one's enjoying this. So fuck them. If you're not here watching this, screw you. And then the final question before story time, before I've asked you to tell one of your most fond memories of growing up and working with your father in the shop. If you had to pick one knife for the rest of your life, like the final knife that you would ever purchase, and I'm not saying like you can't, like if it breaks, you can buy another one, but you can only get that knife as a replacement. What would that knife be?
That I'd purchase or make?
Well, either way.
Either way?
Either way. What would be the knife?
What's the knife?
It doesn't matter. It's just like, that's what I'm saying. Like your choice, like what would be your choice of the knife that would be the only knife you would carry for the rest of your life?
I'm gonna go for one of these Kohos here. That's such a satisfying design to me. That's super useful.
But it doesn't have to be your knife either. Like you could, like anyone's knife.
A scale release, then that would be that much cooler. Yeah. I probably, wouldn't carry, I generally don't carry my own knives. Actually, I was carrying the Sparrowhawk here for a while, and then I found it in the dryer at the laundromat one day, and I said, probably stop carrying your knife, man.
That's not good. That's like, how much are the Sparrowhawks?
They were 1,600.
That's what I was gonna say. They were like 15 or 1,600.
For the first version, they were 16. We did them like 100% by hand. The second version, we had some parts made for us and kind of cut it down to 1,200. That was the first time we ever explored doing anything with like CNC or, that wasn't 100% in-house. So yeah, one knife to rule them all.
Actually, I missed a couple questions. I found a couple other questions I had written down, so we don't have to do story. And we haven't taken any of the questions from the audience yet. There's like 14.
Well, my Showtime weird Showtime moment coincides with story time, so we could do both.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so that I have a real hard time trying to pick what knife I would carry but I've said it a bunch of times. If I had to pick one knife Like fixed blade folder, if it was just one knife, I would have to pick the Mora Knives Companion in carbon steel, because at $20, it's probably one of the best fixed blade knives out there. And it is insanely good. It cuts really well. It's done in quality material. And at $20, if I break it or I lose it, I can replace it with that knife. That would be my one. I honestly think that is the GOAT when it comes to fixed blade knives. It really is. Like, for a $20 knife to be that good is ridiculous.
Cool.
I mean, you got the rubber grip. It's comfortable. It's got a decent plastic sheath with good retention. It's got a weep hole for carrying. You can use the belt, the plastic belt clip on the sheath as a pocket clip. Fits really well in a pocket. It's just probably one of the best knives on the market, and it's only $20, if not less. But I forgot to ask you, what is your current favorite production knife that's on the market?
Well, I've actually been carrying this one right here. This is one of Eric Oak's design.
I've got one right here.
Yeah. What is it? The EDX, I think.
Yeah, the EDX Solar Storm. I think we have the same one with the.
Yeah, man. Knife buddies.
It's a very good knife.
I really love this knife. I've been carrying it. It's been my daily since he gave it to me.
This was my knife of the year until the CJRB Echo, Ray Laconico's design, came out, and they sent me one, and I absolutely fell in love with the Echo. The Echo is my knife of the year right now, and it's going to be really hard to beat because it's just a little more functional in all scenarios. And like when you get all the things that the CJRB Echo does, and you throw them all together, and the fact it's like $70, I'm like, fuck, that's going to be so hard to beat. Like that's what I was saying. Like you can get a knife now at $70 that is better than knives that you were buying 5 years ago at $400. It is ridiculous how good some of the production knife companies have gotten and are putting out, and the designers that are just continuing to just nail designs, like Ray Laconico, you guys. Bob Terzuola's got some production versions that are coming out of his knives that are just amazing. And like Nick Shabazz said, excellence is now the lowest bar. It's really hard. When you put a knife out now, you're not competing against just what's on the market right now. You're competing against everything that was in front of it and everything that's going to be coming soon. Like, you can't just stay at that level. You got to continue to get better. There's just so many good knives out there now. What was this? Oh, Keen's Customs dropped $10. So I would push everyone, if just like, even if it's only, he didn't drop a comment, he just threw $10 up. So I get to say whatever he was saying.
So I forgot to do the answer thing. Thanks for the 10 pounds, Keen's Customs. I'd lick the microphone, but as we know, it doesn't make a noise when I do it.
Yeah, go to touchknives.com, get 10 spots. Get in the
you guys get, I appreciate you guys dropping money here, but like, take that money and go over there and get entered, or do both.
All of the above.
All the above.
The abundance.
Rickert 100 says, hello, you all. Bubbles said something about the Inkosi drop point, but I don't have a point of reference as to what we were talking about at that moment. So has anybody got any questions for Eric, since we've got 18 people here still? And I'll take questions. I mean, I'll look at the stuff that's on Rumble. There's 3 people on Rumble, and I don't think they're even awake. Well, IA American keeps saying. He asked, what is hidden hardware? And I think that's just, I don't think we really need to elaborate on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's where the hardware is hidden.
It's the knife is put together from the inside out. The screws you have to use a special tool to be able to attach the screw from the inside rather than the outside. So there's no hardware shown.
I was going to ask you, how do you do that? Is it like, I mean, I know how there was some stuff, there were panels on like systems on the ship that were put together where the panel was was clean, and then inside, and we used an offset screwdriver, like a 90-degree offset screwdriver.
Okay.
In tight spaces, or you just did it from inside. But like, to you guys, is it like an offset screwdriver? Is it like a 90-degree piece?
It's like a maybe a 40 thou piece of titanium that has a hole drilled in it, so that it's the same size as the one of the T6 bits, and it's just press fit in there and take off the backside, and then you got a tool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a very small little thing just to get in there and be able to work that screw.
Yep. So it is kind of like that. So like, it's just thin, and then it's just
Yeah.
got the bit that
just the
sticks
bit
up.
sticking out.
Yeah, so it's like a 90-degree offset. Yeah, it is. That's okay. I was just curious because that, like I said, that's what I was thinking, but I was not sure.
Yep.
Bubbles was like, ask for one knife for life. But yeah, Keen's Customs. There we go. Well, no one's asking any questions. So story time then. And we can always, if they ask a question. Oh, is Leatherman in Oregon as well? Yeah, they are, right? Leatherman's up there?
Yeah, we got Leatherman, Timberline, Benchmade, CRKT, Kershaw.
Benchmade is...
Benchmade, yeah.
Very, very disappointed in Benchmade. Very disappointed. It's because they used to do such a good job and had some knives that I really love. Now, just the absolute ridiculousness of the price for what you get. I say the same thing about Spyderco, but I absolutely love this Spyderco. I don't think it's worth the price, but considering someone gave it to me, the price was right. So what's your story time thing? I'll pull this back up again. So while you tell a story, everybody knows that they have 3 days, 1 hour and 33 minutes to enter into the Grail knife giveaway on your website. So what's your weirdest knife show moment that we were saving for story time?
Well, it's not so much just one particular moment. In 2015, I had designed and built a lockback with my dad called the Chanterelle knife that was based off the golden chanterelle that grows in the forest here in the Pacific Northwest. And it ended up winning Best Art Knife at Blade Show. And it ended up on the cover of the world's largest blade magazine in China, or not the world's largest, the largest circulating knife magazine in China. And along with that, we got invited to go to a show in Beijing.
Nice.
Which was really cool. Yeah. So we go, have all these knives ready to go. They actually had us on like a specific flight so that the person at security doing the x-rays through customs would be able to look the other way or whatever, So it was all set up, like everything was very particular to make sure that we didn't have any issues. We go to the show though, great first day. It's busy. People are asking for autographs. That was real weird. I'd never experienced that before. They all wanted a picture with the tall blonde guy. And, it was cool start to the show. There's supposed to be 2 more days of it. And we go out to dinner, and then we get told on the way home from dinner that they're shutting the show down because something going on there was some rumors, like maybe a big dealer didn't like that it was stepping in on his business. It didn't, or it was a government meeting, something happening where they, were cracking down on things. And so we got told that, that was it. That was all we were going to get for the show. And we get woken up the next day, 5, 6 in the morning, getting told the police are going to raid. And we got to give our knives to these people over here, and they're going to take us across town, across the city, and check us into a different hotel under someone else's name so that we're not getting caught up in whatever was going on. And
what the fuck?
Yeah. And so the rest of the trip was just was like tourist stuff. We ended up going out to dinner again with like these big time collectors over there. They took us to this Mongolian restaurant where we had an individual yurt for each dinner party, and they upgraded us to the emperor's yurt that had snow leopard ceilings and traditional entertainment coming in. And they brought 2 tables, each got a half a lamb just right in the middle.
Fuck.
Trinidad cigars and Cubans and you know the collectors are trying to get their wives to have pictures with me and like kind of putting off a vibe like they want something from you.
Something else? They're
Something
like
going
wanting
on.
maybe a blonde,
They're
blonde-haired,
throwing
blue-eyed child.
their wine at you know their it's kind of like their moonshine. It's like a wine that's
Oh yeah. No, I
wants like
know.
in the white
I've been to
bottle.
Hong Kong. I've been to Hong Kong a bunch of times.
Yeah, you
It's
know.
yeah, it's same kind. Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you hang out and do stuff like that. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it. It's
I can't
really,
remember what it's called.
it really makes you feel like shit the next day. I
Yeah,
do that. You're like,
that
I
was
don't feel well.
so yeah, that was probably my at least my wildest show experience. The next year actually we were gonna go back, and 2 weeks before the show they tell us that the show is gonna be moved to the following weekend because of like a government meeting or something.
The same thing that happened the year before. Like they just
Kinda,
don't like
yeah,
nice shows.
something like that. And so we couldn't change our tickets, so we ended up just going to hang out in Beijing and we went to the Great Wall of China and different temples and Silk Road and to the zoo, all these things. Found out there was a KFC and a Subway at the Great Wall of China. That was pretty
Yeah. I'll tell you the weirdest thing. You're talking about that at the Great Wall of China. Like you see, like when you see the Great Pyramids of Egypt, like the pyramids of Egypt and the Sphinx and all that stuff, and you're there, and you get there, and it's just it's really weird when you realize that what they've done is they built the city right up against it,
Mhm.
and then you have the open desert behind it, so that when you look at it, it looks open. But I have got pictures of the pyramids of Giza from a Pizza Hut where I was just sitting in Pizza Hut taking pictures out the window because it's literally the city just dead ends up against the pyramids.
Hmm.
And it just kind of wraps around, but then everything behind it is open desert. And they do that to kind of preserve the way it is, but also like that's how they're able to film like all this. Every time you see like movies and you see the pyramids and stuff, you're like, oh, they're just out. Like you've got to take a camel out from the city and no, you don't.
It's right
You
there.
can literally walk from KFC and Taco Bell and Pizza Hut and walk right up to the area and then get your tickets to go up to the pyramids. Yeah, you can go take pictures, but like to go in, you got to go to like this visitor center and shit.
That's funny.
It is nuts when you really see it. Like if you look at
weird, like it's
yeah, like when you pull it up and look at it on a map, you're like, wow, that is fucking nuts. But I had never, that was one of the weirdest experiences I had in a foreign country was like just showing up and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I thought we had to take like a Indiana Jones style.
This is not
like,
the excursion that I was expecting.
right? Like, oh, you want to go see the pyramids? We're like, yeah, well, we'll go eat at Pizza Hut and then walk over there. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was with some guys that had been there before. Yeah, we'll take a taxi over to the Pizza Hut there. We'll eat, and then we'll just walk over there and we'll go in. And I'm like, that is insane. Not at all what I expected. I had a really good time in Egypt. I enjoyed Egypt. It was a very interesting place. It's not at all what I expected, like being in Egypt. I kind of expected like what you see in like old Indiana Jones movies and shit, right? And it's not. It's a super modern city, and then there's just some elements that they preserved of the old world. It's really good. It's a lot like you said. It's like the Great Wall of China. It's like the city just kind of stops, and there's the Great Wall of China. It's kind of weird. So some guys here have asked. Bubble says, collector cooks tried to lure you into their Jello dungeon.
Oh fuck.
Bubbles is one of our paying members. He's a very interesting. Bubbles, it appears that you have lost your membership. I don't know if you see that. You are no longer a paying member. And you may want to rectify that because I will be scrubbing the server eventually before too long. Somebody asked, where's it at? For you, Paul was asking, what is the easier material to work with? Mother of pearl or abalone?
I have much less experience with abalone. Essentially, it's the same thing though. It's a shell.
Yeah.
We actually have like my dad found a deal on like 6 large abalone shells that I'm pretty excited to process and use. Um, but yeah, I haven't um I haven't used abalone on a knife.
I've got 2 abalone scales that are like the thin sheet of abalone on top of the um on top that is like then got epoxy on top of it.
Yeah, it's
And
bad.
it's
Yeah, it's just thin.
yeah,
Nothing.
it's super thin, and then there's just like it's like 5 millimeter thick epoxy resin with like half a millimeter of abalone on it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we get
that's
some nice
pretty.
thick shells, we'll be able to actually do some inlay and cool stuff. But yeah, essentially, I think it may have more layers to it, and you have more issues with running into like worm lines, things like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Like
I was gonna say
you
like
get into it, and it's like
it's
real holy. There's holes
well,
all through it.
I've got it over here. I have it out because it's going to someone who's going to make me some inlays for a knife that already has inlays, and I'm going to replace them with this.
Yeah.
It definitely has a different look than
Mhm.
Mother of Pearl. Oh, the green screen's fucking it up. But you can see there's a lot more to it than Mother of Pearl just kind of looks pearlescent. And this has a lot of black lines and stuff in it.
Yeah,
It's definitely a different look. I like Mother of Pearl, but this is a lot more per, like rainbow esque.
that's it, yeah. It
Yeah,
depends on the pearl too. We have some gorgeous stuff in the sale. My dad used to go and cherry pick all the pearl from the shows back in the day, so he's got a nice little
yeah,
stash in there that I've been finally prying some away from him to be able to do some cool stuff with it.
yeah. I Bubbles. I was just joking. He's like, it did it to me last month too. I'll fix it when I get. I'm just kidding. I haven't scrubbed the server or updated the list of people that scroll up at the end of the video in like 2 months. It's such with everything that goes on. Like today is a shorter day, and I'm probably still gonna work till like 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. And tomorrow's my only day off that I take per week. Um, I was telling somebody this, like I told you this too. Like people don't realize, like I'm trying to get stuff done. Nico and I have basically, oh, I'll talk to you about this offline. Nico and I have basically set up a knife show in Palm Springs.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it's there's only like 4 companies coming. If you and your dad were able to make it down, that'd be cool. It's kind of short notice. It's on the 22nd, but that would be cool. If you
This
guys
one?
wanted to come down. Yeah.
Uh, I
No,
might
listen, here's the
around,
thing.
but I can't get enough knives finished for that.
No, and that's the thing. Like there's a bunch of people that I've been telling, like Bob Terzola and Ray Laconico. I'm
Yeah.
telling them I don't want you to make knives. I just want you to come.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like it's not so much that I want. We've got companies that are coming. We've got a couple companies that are coming. It's more that like I want it to be more of a knife gathering kind of thing where people just get to hang out because like guys like you and Ray Laconico and Bob Terzola, you always have to make knives for events.
Yeah, it'd be
And
nice to just walk around at a show.
just to, and it's like we got barbecue, we got it's at a tap house in Beaumont, California.
Okay.
And so it's like we're gonna have a company that's providing the alcohol. It's a tap takeover, so all the alcohol is gonna be from one brewery. There's barbecue, there's a band, we've got people coming. There's a handful of companies that aren't on the flyer that are coming just to hang out. And I just kind of want it to be that. I want it to be more like like a YouTube and knife community meetup rather than a knife show. And if it morphs into that later, it kind of turned into. It was originally supposed to be what I just said, and it kind of has turned into like a mini knife show now, with like 4 companies or 5 companies coming. So I think it's gonna be fun. I'll talk to you about it offline. But yeah, Nico can set up lodging and shit if you guys wanted to come down. I'm sure we could get it figured out.
Okay.
What's your dad doing? You don't know what he's doing right now? He's probably
No.
off fishing somewhere.
No, he's probably actually working. Yeah, he sets his schedule, sometimes, and it's kind of works out because a lot of the time our time in there is like offset so that we're not getting in each other's way and
Yeah.
so
Well, I was gonna say, so what
process.
people don't see is I showed up at you guys's. Oh, Will's right there. Hey, Will, there's your dad. He's like he's working. I showed up at you guys' shop at like 9:30 at night, and you guys were still just pounding away at getting stuff done.
Was that the night before Blade West?
Yeah, it was the night before Blade West, and you
Yes.
had you had a knife you were working on, and your dad had a knife that he was cursing at that I remember.
What's up, Dad?
He was not happy with it. Yeah. Well, since you are here, Will, I really appreciate like all the like the fact that you guys have been so cool and been I really do cherish you guys' friendship. And this whole giveaway thing, I want to bring it up again. If you guys have not went to the website and have not entered, it's an entry per every dollar you spend. You don't even have to buy a shirt. Like if you don't want to buy something that's $10, you can just buy an entry and it gets you a chance to win a $5,000 knife and $5,000 in cash, a flight to Portland to go to the fucking knife show up there, the Invitational. That's
Something alone right there.
that's a sore dick deal. You just can't beat it. So, but we are probably going to end this. I'm sure that people have other things to do. I am sweating profusely. The temperature has definitely increased out here. The sun is now shifted and I can literally feel the heat coming from the garage door. I'm like, holy shit. Even though I got the fan on, and I think that's why I could feel it because the fan's blowing heat from the garage door. So, have you got anything else you want to put out anything else about the giveaway or anything else that's coming up?
Right now I'm just focusing on the giveaway, guys. Like this is something that we're not making any money off of. Like people that do it with the cars and everything like that, they have sales funnels and celebrity spokespeople and constant advertisements going on. We can't really do that with knives. So the odds, you're not going to find higher odds of getting a prize like this. I can guarantee you that. So definitely the website, get something off the website. Worst case scenario, you get a cool piece of merch, and then if we can make this thing self-sufficient, we can just keep on doing them. I want to be able to just keep changing people's lives and be able to make cool shit at the same time.
Here's the sad thing. I'm the closest to a celebrity endorsement you've gotten. That is fucking pathetic.
Wow.
Heyo.
Now I want to hear what this sounds like in the echo chamber.
What is Rick's question? He says, "Can you answer questions?"
That's what I was getting ready to say, Rickard. I didn't see your question, and I hate to tell you, like it sometimes does not abalone is chippy more. I think I answered your question, which was Rickard, what have you made? Bro, he's made. You see that knife that's on the screen? Eric made that. That is the giveaway knife. You guys make the Sparrowhawk. I can't remember all of them. You guys make several models. I can't think of.
Yeah, we make the Sparrowhawks aren't really in production anymore.
Hang on a second. I'm trying to give you full screen. I'm giving you narcissist mode.
Narcissist mode.
Yeah, it's
inlay. A lot of elements of our art knives, but more tactical version, full dress. And yeah, this is up for grabs, guys. This is something I would normally sell for $5,000, and man, like I don't want to sell you on this. Like, do yourself a favor and get a shirt. Please support this. I want to be able to keep doing them.
I know I want you guys to be able to too, and I'm gonna put up another post on Instagram. Problem with Instagram right now, I don't know if any of you guys know this. Instagram is absolutely crushing knife related. Like if you have if your feed is predominantly knife stuff, I'm currently unable to do live feeds on Instagram again. I've apparently violated. I tested it this morning because I was talking with Alex Steingrapper and a couple other guys that are knife makers, and they are suspending people's channels. So I went in and I told him, I was like, yeah, for almost 2 years, I was unable to do live feeds. I'm currently unable to do live feeds on Instagram again. And I can see that no one is getting reached with my content.
Yeah,
so
sure, man.
So Rickard asked, do you ship internationally? Is this going to be, are you going to be able to ship that? Like if he wins that, are you going to ship it internationally?
Well, it's for US citizens or Canadian citizens. And we can't ship the knife to Canada, so you're gonna have to come here to get it, type of thing.
Well, how
Um,
convenient that you're offering a ticket to Portland.
Isn't that terrible?
That's
Uh,
not a bad deal.
the merchandise itself, it cannot be shipped internationally because it's being done print on demand. But if you want to get entries into it and you're a U.S. citizen or Canadian citizen, you can do the raffle option where it's just increments of $10 entries, and you can still get in it.
Yeah, that sucks. I know it does suck. I stopped doing like giveaways are for the United States only now. Like it's just gotten so hard to ship anything to Canada.
The last time I did that, the person was very confident that he could assemble it, and ended up not being able to assemble it. And then it was the only person that has ever asked for a refund in my 10 years of making knives and 20 of my dad.
Rickert says he has a proxy. He does have a proxy. Rickert, did you send me your proxy for the sticker pack that you wanted? I was going to send you a sticker pack and I have not done it yet. And I can't remember if you sent me the proxy. So he does have a proxy where he could have them get the item for him. So
cool. Yeah, that would work.
But yeah, well, I'll tell you what, your dad says he's working. You probably should go help him.
My dad says, let's go to the river. You didn't see that?
I did. I did. And I forgot to answer. I would love to go to the river. The only problem is like with what's going on with like, this is my only income. And you can see there's only 19 people here. So it's definitely not paying the fucking bills. I don't think I'm making any trips anywhere anytime soon. So I'm hoping that I have a position. I have a position that I'm hoping to take eventually somewhere where I'm like, so I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna basically have to abandon the channel. YouTube has squashed all the knife channels. Instagram has squashed all the knife feeds. It's become untenable to continue doing what I was doing. I'm making like a quarter of the income I was 5 months ago. You know what I mean?
Someone said, who would want to go to Portland?
I wouldn't really want to go to Portland unless I was going to meet you guys. And the whole thing is like, once you go, well, that's not true. I could go to Pine State Biscuits.
Fuck yeah, you could.
Yeah, I could. I mean, I could fight my way through Antifa to get to fucking Pine State Biscuits. Pretty sure I could do it. I'm not a little guy. I could sling some of them around.
It's not as bad in our side of town.
It's not. I know where you guys are at. It's not bad. It's like, especially where you guys, I loved coming out to you guys' shop. That was a blast. Like, I'm like, where are we at? You guys, like, I was texting, your dad was like, we're upstairs. Come upstairs. And I'm like, fuck, where the fuck are we? And upstairs, it just opens up into this huge knife shop with just you and your dad, and one of the sweetest Rottweilers I've ever met.
Yeah, rest in peace, Sammy.
Yeah, we had to put my golden retriever down here. The one that we'd had since my daughter was little. We had to put her down just right before my wife and kid went, like October, November timeframe. And then our really good friends, my friend Dennis was a professional boxer, and they had two golden retrievers that were about the same age as ours, and they had to put theirs down just about the same time we did. And they got two new ones, a male and a female, and they had a litter, and they let my daughter have pick of the litter. So we have a brand new golden retriever puppy here at the house. He's just a maniac. It's all into everything. I had to force him to throw up. He somehow got into my tube of arthritis cream, the prescription arthritis cream that I use for my shoulder and my knee, and had managed to chew holes in that and was eating it. And I was like, well, now we got to get him to throw up. So, had to put some hydrogen peroxide on a piece of bread and get him to throw up to try. And I was like, Jesus. It's like having an autistic kid with a suicide complex. It's basically what having a puppy is. You're like, what the fuck? Why are you chewing that?
Yeah,
that's going to kill you.
Sammy used to go for the panties of the girls that I would bring home.
Oh, you can't put a pair of socks down around this dog.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You can't put on a pair of socks around this dog. You can't lay a pair of socks down. It doesn't matter. He will have them.
How about shoes?
Not shoes.
That's
but
good.
My wife has some soft slippers. and he will grab those, and he doesn't chew them. He doesn't tear them up. He carries them around. Like he'll get them both in his mouth and get a hold of both of them and just walk around just proud as punch. Like, look what I got. Look what I got. I'm not gonna fuck him up, but I'm not supposed to have it. And I know it. And I know it's driving you crazy. And I'm like, I can't let him out here in the studio. Like if I'm filming, he'll start chewing on the leg of a tripod. And then my video starts shaking. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Chewing on rocks and shit in the yard. I'm like, you have got all the toys a dog could ever want. So, all right, guys, go enter in this giveaway as soon as I tried doing it from my phone, and I forgot that I paused the internet on my phone to amplify internet for the laptop. I'm gonna cut you guys loose. I'm gonna send you out about your day as soon as you guys watch this. Eric, don't take off yet. We'll stay after I end the live feed. We'll talk for a second. But I owe you guys something. I have something entertaining that I like to present occasionally. And I have 3 of them. And this is the one we're going to go with today.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bees fly, boots fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I?
Your dad says that's creepy. I love it. I have one of Bob Ross. I have one of as Arnold Schwarzenegger as Bob Ross. I have one of that is him as Kate Winslet, like fucking taking off her top to pose for Jack in Titanic. I love them. They're hilarious. I love the Arnold Schwarzenegger deep fakes. There's just nothing funnier than that. So. Guys, make sure you go check this out. I will do another post. I will do a community post on the channel. There will be a video going up at 4. I'm not sure which one yet. I haven't even built a thumbnail for it. I told my daughter to start reminding me the night before to have thumbnails and everything ready. And I asked her this morning why she didn't remind me, and she said she forgot. So I guess we're both stupid. So, guys, like I said, community post going up. Make sure you check out the giveaway and get some of the merchandise and support this, and follow Eric on Instagram. What is it? Just Tuch Knives on Instagram?
Tuch Knives, yeah.
Yep.
TC.
So, all right, guys, I will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.